All right, so we're here with the pattern for the port side curtain on that C-ray from the previous video. So we're gonna work through finishing out the pattern from the markings on the boat, cutting out the glass, making the components, doing the sewing, and here we go. So the first thing I have to do is my two markings. This, I'm looking at the inside. Again, this is the port. I know that I wrote on the boat. I don't know if you can see on the camera. PT for port inside. And I have my two reference markings here. And we want straight lines for all of the vertical parts of the curtain. So we're going to take that and go right through those 2 points. There we go. Now, I know this is I marked the zipper line where it connects on the bimini. And that should be just about straight, and it is. So we're gonna straight. I keep coming through. Now it's important to think about when there's many ways to make these things. The way we're going to do it today, because I'm a little low on the navy fabric until I get the next order in, is we're going to figure out what size we want the finished product to be, the clear, and make the components around the glass. So standard, on the horizontals, I'll have a 1.5 inch finished look. Now we need a 1/2 inch overlap, so I'll take my clear ruler here and just come down 1 inch. Over here now, this is another vertical side, so we want that inch. So here's my zipper for this side. Here's the start. That's the spear. That's always important to mark when you're doing the patterns on the boat too, where the slider starts, or if it's the spear side. And we know our end is there for the zipper. I'm going to come in another inch from that. So this line I made here was right on the Ketter track. That's the difference between the zipper. So I'm actually going to cross this out so I don't get confused for my own self later. We also have these snap marks here. I haven't decided if I'm going to utilize them yet. I don't know if they're necessary, but that's for a later time to make that decision. Now I did mark the snaps here, even though it's not the most important thing, because this line, you can see down here, it's kind of hard to tell, right? There's a red mark from the boat, which is the bottom of the windshield. So we want a 2.5 inch finished there, so I'm going to come up 2 because we got to remember we always have our finished, our 1.5 inch overlap. All right, so we got a really nice shape there. We got front, bottom, aft side of this done. So now the top. I'm gonna do an inch also. Let me turn this so that it's easy, more manageable for me. So same as the sides, 1 inch, and then the 1/2 inch overlap gives us that 1.5 inch finished look. It's looking good. Looking good. All right, so now that we're there, just connect that line like that. And you know, again, I actually don't know. Yeah, I think we are going to utilize these snaps. We are. So let me make another reference line. Let's do 3/4 of an inch on the other side of these. All right, now I'm going to just cut this out a little bit more to make it a little more manageable to work with. So I'm going to get to the clear now. Almost there. And lay this out. I think. Let me see. Yeah, we're not big enough that way, so we will have to go this way. So we try to nest this the best we can. That makes sense. I'm gonna utilize as much of the good quality clear as I can. What is on here? Huh. So now we want this obviously as flat as possible, so I'm gonna get my weight bags. And with just the fabric, when I work with just the fabric, a lot of times, the table's just wood. You can just really get that fabric taut and get it laid out real nice. With this, obviously, you don't want to tack through this. Pain in the butt enough to keep them nice. So we try to get this as flat as we possibly can. I'm gonna have to pull here. And now we literally just cut on those lines we just made. So scissors, where are they? Always losing stuff. It looks like I'm struggling a little bit. I left my really good shears on the boat the other day and I haven't gotten them back yet. So bear with me with this. All right, and now is when it gets interesting. We do what we can. Reach in and a little bit out of camera, but it's okay. All right, I'm gonna move this real quick so I can get the rest of the glass off. But most importantly, first off, because the inside and outside, sometimes it gets a little bit difficult to tell these things. So I'm going right over this port inside. That won't be an issue. I'm gonna be very careful when I take this. The pattern's there to protect the glass. Put this to the side for a second. Now, what we have here is a piece of clear cut out to exactly the dimensions, the lines that we just made when we were finishing the pattern. Just going through and making sure it really does line up. It does. It's time to make those components. Let's get a couple white China markers. I like it more than the black. And we have to go around the perimeter of this thing to put our 1/2 mark so that we have our reference lines, how much that overlap is that we were talking about when we were making the patterns. I'm going to need a weight bag for this. Like I said, we'll do what we can. Get some more fabric coming. Should be today, tomorrow at the latest. So we always start with the top and or the bottom. Top and bottom. Bottom here, top here. Always gets done first. Because of the way we have to overlap for the sides. You'll see when we get further into this process. So I'm going to start right here down at the bottom. Let's get some fabric laid out. We'll flip this around. And we're working with just the top. Keep putting those weight bags away like an idiot. Keep needing them. Now, we're going to trace this exact contour from the clear onto this piece of umbrella. All right, we have that exact contour. Now, weight bag off. We have our 1/2 mark on the clear already. We're going to pull this clear down, matching it right up with that contour line we just drew on the blue fabric. Get that perfectly lined up. Put a weight bag back on. Now, ruler. We need these lines here. Line that right up with the side. They're not the most important thing in the world. It helps when we're basting this on before we sew. All right. Now, if you remember from our pattern, we had an 1.5 inch. We want an 1.5 inch finished at the top. There we go. So we have our 1.5 inch finished there. And now, what we need, that's our fold line. We need enough to fold over. So we do another inch up here. That doesn't have to be the most exact thing in the world. So then what I do, all right, top, and this is the inside. Remember, we're looking at the inside, we're making the inside. I'll just chop this off here. Always leaving those vertical lines. And we cut it out a little big. We cut it out a little big. I'm gonna go right on the money for this one. Man, I can't wait to go get my shears back. Really good. Good set of shears makes life much easier. All right, that's a scrap. Toss that. All right, and then I'm just going to do a very preliminary crease right on that fold line. And now, you hadn't guessed it yet. Like I said, we were working on the inside because we were looking at the inside. Now we need the other side because this thing is going to be finished inside and out. We will take that on a weight bag, and you guessed it, same thing again. Pull this down to match the line. Put our little marks here. Okay. Now we said it's 1.5 inches. And I'm just going to give, you know, an arbitrary, this side we don't need to cut out right on. And I'll show you why in a second. So make sure we have at least 1.5 inches. Make it a little bigger. And cut out right on. Right on that. Obviously making sure we don't cut on our fold line. All right. So we have our inside component here. We got our outside component here. Fold right on that fold line again. And we're going, you know, this is easy to crease because we're going across from factory seam to factory seam. If you try to go the other way, you know, that'll make more sense when I show you the roll. When I'm just kind of using up scraps from the bimini as much as we can for this. Let's get fabric out of the way. Double-sided basting tape right inside that 1/2 inch line, the reference line we made. I'm putting this basting tape now. Remember, I'm looking at the outside, so have my outside piece. And now here's where those reference lines come into play. Be very careful to put that folded edge right on that reference line we made. Good. Okay. Now, we're always careful when we do this. Okay, you guessed it. Same thing here. Okay, I'm looking at the inside, got the inside, top, reference line again. And we line this up with that line again. All right, time for the sewing machine. So this is my machine. It's a Juki, whatever it is, 1508. I had it for about a year. Thing's perfect. Can do everything. I use Tanara thread also, in case anyone's interested in that. Now, you don't need to do a back tack here. I'm going to, just because this might be sitting and I just, you know, I'm gonna moving it around and while we're waiting for the other fabric is what I mean. All right, we're done with that main stitch line. Now, I'm gonna do one more here, because as you see, we have to make sure. That looks good. Looks good. Looks good. Looks good. All right. This will both help us bind later and cut off that excess simultaneously. All right, all set with that. And let me try to do this here. We got a good angle, so now, as we knew, we made the inside what we're looking at, the right, exactly right length. Should be exactly 1.5 inches finished. You whack this off right here. Right along that edge we just sewed. that was just sewn. Man, these shoes. Ay, ay, ay. Normally don't work here. I just cutting and stuff. I just didn't want to move the camera. So, and you set up good. All right, that's that. And now, we get that cut off, and that original line's right on, so that's why these are so helpful. Boom, and boom. Now that top is done until, you know, same thing, other three sides, and then we bind around it.